In a world overflowing with distractions, we seek meaning. How do we transform ambition into something deeper, into true fulfillment? I'm Sam Pepin, CEO of Centrica, and I've spent years helping businesses succeed by connecting their goals to something bigger. On the Meaningful podcast, we explore not just how to win in business, but how to grow as individuals. Through conversation with thought leaders, innovators, and everyday heroes, we uncover the stories that drive us towards something greater. Whether you're striving for success, seeking purpose, or just looking for the next steps in your journey, this podcast is your guide to navigating the intersection of ambition, growth, and meaning. So please join me and our incredible guests as we redefine what's possible in both business and life. Enjoy.
Success isn't built on massive leaps, it's built on micro victories. Welcome to the Meaningful Podcast. I'm your host, Sam Pepin. Today we're diving into breaking through entrepreneurial roadblocks, building consistent income growth, and reclaiming freedom through business. Our guest today is Steven Beaver, a no-nonsense business strategist, author, and founder of the Micro Victory Challenge. With more than 40 years as an entrepreneur and over 30 years consulting businesses, Steven has helped countless high achievers double their income in as little as 3 to 6 months while designing a life that allows them to take more vacation. His proven 3-cause micro victory systems and tough love coaching style helps entrepreneurs cut through excuses, unlock their next breakthroughs, and build money-making machine that serves both business and life. If you enjoyed this discussion, please let the world know with a like, a small review, or even a quick share. Your supports help more people find meaningful content just like this. Let's begin. Mr. Steven Beaver, welcome on the Meaningful Podcast. How are you doing?
Happy and successful, even better now that I'm here with you.
Absolutely. It's great to have you on this wonderful Sunday. And you're a very charismatic and interesting guy, so I think it's going to be an awesome episode. To kick us off, please tell us more about TMV Steven Beaver, please.
Okay, well, that's a little bit of a story. I'll just start from the beginning because it kind of makes all sense when I do that. So you look at me, but you don't realize that I'm really nothing more than a country boy. My grandma lived 2 ranches away from the #1 horse trainer in Oklahoma. And I can literally remember riding horses when I was 2 years old. And I can remember falling off a horse. And the guy picks me up and he goes, "You fall off a horse, you got to get back on." And I'm like, "I don't want to ride the horsey. I don't want to ride the horse. You got to get back on." And he gets me back on the horse. Years later, I ended up breaking Arabians. We had a horse ranch. It was kind of living the dream. But, I had, at one time I had 3 businesses that I had. And in America, back in the 80s and 90s, even in the 70s, we had this saying in America, we're Americans, we work harder than everybody else. And I bought into that. And this is going way back. We had 4 vacations in over 18 years. So, and I'm the TMV guy now, right? And so, my worst story is I can remember my oldest son's first t-ball practice, and that's it. I can't remember if he hit the ball because I wasn't there. I don't remember. I don't know if he hit the ball, if he threw anybody out. I don't know if he even had a winning or losing season because I was doing it for the family, right? I fell into that trap. And back then there wasn't this big movement of, this your quality time and TMV stuff. I started this a long time ago. I was just a workaholic. And so about, it was 4 or 5 years ago, I was a suit guy, right? Okay. So, I just called my strategist and, you pay these people a lot of money, so you should listen to what they say. Right. And so I said, I'm really tired of the suits, thousands of dollar suits and $300 ties and, blah, 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 blah. And I'm just really tired of it. And she goes, okay, so, and I'm like, well, what do you think about Hawaiian shirts and the shorts? And she's like, yes, that fits your TMV style. And I'm like, oh, okay, great. So I had practiced for 2 weeks before I was really going to throw it at her and make the sale, that I needed to do this. And she basically just said after 2 minutes, she says, stop, just ask me what you want. And I did. And she said, yes. And I'm like, oh, okay, so great. And so then she said, we need to get you a prop. And I'm like, what's a prop? And she goes, well, some people, they wear jewelry. Now, I'm married 29 years, and the only thing I wear is my Oura ring. And that's because it doesn't itch. It doesn't make, but metal just doesn't do well with my skin. So I don't wear, I said, I don't do jewelry, and I'm not going to wear some big golden thing. This is not me. And she goes, okay, all right. Well, hats, sometimes they have funky hats. And I'm like, it smashes my hair and it makes me feel yucky. And I'm not going to do a hat. And she goes, are those glasses real? And I'm like, no. They're little wire frames. I don't know where the other glasses are. Yeah, I don't know where they are. But anyway, I was going to show it to you. But they're little wire frames. Like I said, yeah, I get them at Walmart. I get 3 pairs for $10, just reading glasses. And she goes, all right, go find the glasses. And so I was like, okay. And so, I'm a strategist. And so I researched it, and I found that, and I deal with a lot of, women are my avatar. I work with men too, but I just get along better with women, it seems like. And so I researched it, and women like circles, and guys like squares, edges, on whole, okay? And red means stop and look, and blue is a color that most women really like. There's a light blue that women, it's just a good color. And so, gosh, I wish I had it. I was on another podcast, and I don't know what I did with them. I just don't see them. But anyway, I said, I'm not doing Elton John. And the glasses that I found with the blue are like these big Elton John blue glasses. So the red won out, which makes sense because it means stop and look, right? So everything that, and this came about, I was at a networking meeting, and the president, she said something, and I just popped off at her, and she goes, yeah, Steven, you and your yellow shirt can come too. And I looked down, and I'm like, I'm wearing one of my orange Hawaiian shirts. And I'm like, that's so weird. And so I called my strategist, and I told her, and she goes, yeah, Steven, yellow and blue, the best buy colors, are the most visible commercial spectrum for the human eye. And you've been doing it for 30 years. Just go with it. Just get the yellow shirts. And so I got that. I got shorts to match. We were in Vegas. Like, whenever you ever meet me, you'll see these socks. I actually, had a guy, I have it every once in a while, but asked me, are those tats? And first time somebody said that, I was like, tats? What the hell is tats? Tattoos, right? Yeah, well, I don't do tattoos. Needles, no, thanks. And so anyway, he came up, and there's the socks and the glasses seem to, the shirt draws them in, but nobody ever says anything about the shirt. It's either aloha, but anyway, I went back, and they threw me. My wife said she couldn't make it to the meeting, and I was the lead welcomer. So I was the one that welcomed everybody into the meetings, because she said, I want a ray of sunshine when they come in, and that's you. And so she put me on it. I'm like, okay. And these people start coming in Hawaiian shirts, and they have a rack of Hawaiian shirts and leis on the table. And I'm like, why didn't I get the memo? Right? I'm the greeter, right? And so they're coming in, and so they threw a TMV day for me and didn't tell me. She did it behind my back. And so anyway, that's how the lei got started. And so I just realized that, when you're an alcoholic and you want to stop drinking, do you go to the teetotaler that's never drank before in their life to tell you what to do? Or do you go to the reformed alcoholic, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Reformed workaholic, right? And I still have, I mean, I'm reformed, but that is, it's always there. There's a reason why, well, you don't see it. Now you can see the focus sign. Most people see the focus sign, but the camera's a little smaller. But that sign isn't for you. It's for me. I got to stay focused, right? And what I found was that the more stringent I am. So if let's just say 8 to 5, you work 8 to 5, right? And you've got your own business. But if you stop if you go 5 minutes, let's just go the other direction. You go 5 minutes more to finish the project. That's going to turn into 10. It's going to turn into an hour, right? Yeah. And then when you come into the house, this is one of the things that I used to do. People were like, got it then. It's like your kids run up to you and you go, hang on a second. I got to take this call. Well, the kids just found out who was more important, right? It wasn't them.
100%.
And so I just realized that, this is something that every entrepreneur I've ever worked with says, Steven, I'll do everything that I have to. I'll work as hard as I need to. And I said, no, you're going to take 6 vacations this year. And they're like, well, I don't have the time, or I don't have the money, or, it's always those two things. And I show them how they can. Right. And so, I'm the reformed workaholic. I understand what it's like to say, no, just a second. I gotta, I missed all my kids' events pretty much, and I was not happy about that. I mean, I still work with that. Right. So
Sure.
anyway, that's my story. That's who I am. That's what I've done and where I'm going.
Yeah, no, it's interesting, and obviously what you're doing with the TMV Club is that it's a membership, it's a mentorship program, which is very, very interesting, and I love the analogy you just gave, by the way, because you're totally right. I used to give the fisherman basically example. I'm sure you heard that one as well. If you want to basically fish more fishes, do you ask the fish, or you ask the fisherman? And it's a bit of the same thing with, hey, if you want to stop obviously drinking, you ask a guy that successfully stopped drinking. That makes a whole lot of sense. I'm wondering though, do you think that's the main thing that differentiates this program than others, or perhaps explain to me and go more extensively into the details of what makes this so special?
So everybody's doing it now, but very few people are the reformed workaholic, first of all. So I've lived that life. I understand, 4 vacations in over 18 years. That's ridiculous, and I taught my kids, that, you don't have to worry about what's on the menu. You could order off the menu, right? I mean, they literally figured this out. That's another story. We can get into that later if you want. But what makes us different is the very fact that I understand where you're going. And so I already know what the roadblocks are, where somebody that's like, yeah, you need to take more vacations, but yeah. And I ask people, and a lot of times I ask people now, and they get it, right? The millennials, they get it, right? They're moms and dads that they get that they need to spend more time with family. Some of them aren't, but they actually understand it. Back in the 80s and 90s, or even the 70s, we didn't, that wasn't a concept. That was not a concept. There was no, it's like back then, even an entrepreneur was crazy. But now it's a common and everything. So the main thing is that I used to start with showing somebody how to do their schedule, right? Because if it's not on schedule, it doesn't get done. And then I realized just a while back that the problem is I don't need to start with the schedule. I need to make them so busy that they come to me and they said, Steve, you said if I did what you said, I would be able to spend more time with the family. I can't even do lunch now. I'm so busy. Now they're more susceptible to how to do the calendar, how to structure your life. But if I start with the structure, people are like, yeah, but I'm not making enough money. I'm not closing enough deals and whatever. So I flip that. Okay. And that seems to have worked even better. So I start with the sales, and I was with this organization helping them out, and I was doing the structures and stuff for them and everything. And they wanted me to do the sales program. And I was like, no, I mean, I've been doing it for 30 years. I call it bulletproof relationship selling. But I said, no, I'm not going to do that because I hate managing salespeople. It's like herding cats. All right. I get kittens even. I mean, there's just too much. But I love training. Right. So they said, well, we'll hire a sales manager and you just do the training. And I'm like, okay. And so that worked out really well. And that's when I was like, that's when I realized there's a flip here. Right. So I always say that I'm the change agent for you, but it's really for me. Some of my best stuff actually happens because of my clients. They say, hey, I wouldn't do it that way. I don't think it'll work. And I'm like, well, yeah, it will because it's proven. But go ahead. But I'm like, go ahead and try it. And a lot of times they come back and say, yeah, it didn't work. Your way is better. Sometimes they come back and they say, hey, I did it this way and it worked for me for this way. And then that's just one more thing that I have. So I listen, right? I know where I'm going. I know where you're going. But at the same time, it's you've got to listen to the clients because they know more than you do, right? I mean, about their business, right?
Absolutely. It's interesting because that's a perfect segue actually to what I was getting to, which is the relationship basically based selling. One of the very key concepts, specifically, I would say, probably Simon Sinek is a great example of that, which is, people don't buy what you do; they buy basically what you do it for. Which is very, very important, and concept that I think you always pretty much understood. I'm really interested though to hear your wording on it. When you think about how does relationship-based selling basically differs from traditional sales techniques, how would you say how extensively, I suppose, different it is, and how important it is also in a world now where we seem to see this switch to value-driven, vision-driven, sort of these buzzwords that are all around these concepts of who we are and what we do it for.
Yeah. So Simon is amazing. I've watched him all the time. The problem with relationship selling is it takes time, and most people don't want to take the time. They got to close the deal, right? And they don't understand that it's not the long game that you're playing. It's the shorter game that you're playing. People don't realize that. They're like, well, I don't want to spend. So this is literally what I train and what I do. Okay. So I think I did it with you. It's like, Sam, and this is going to sound rude, so please just give me the time, right? Okay. I said, Sam, I really don't care what you do, and I really don't. But if we spend 5 minutes apiece telling each other why we do what we do and how it's gotten us to where we are and who actually helped us, was it a mom? Was it a teacher? Was it a mentor that got us why we're there? Then we can find out if we're friends or friendly at least. And then we can decide if we're doing business, because I don't do business with the people I don't know, like, or respect. You can say trust either way. But, and that's literally how I start out every conversation, as opposed to, hey, Sam, how you doing? Great. Oh, you got kids, you got a wife, you got family. Oh, that's great. Okay, good. I checked off the boxes, and now I'm going to go into my sales. But you spend 5 minutes, and that's what I did with you. I spent 5 minutes or so, and I told my story. Right now, people understand. People will, and this is the nice thing. 90% of it, more than 90% of the time, you will find common denominators, right? And that's how you build friendship. Oh, what a weird thing, right? And so friends, do business with friends. Ask any multimillionaire. They don't do them with strangers, right? I can't remember. It was one of the guys on the Shark Tank, and it's the black guy. I can't remember his name on the top of the.
Oh yes. And I know who he is.
Yeah. So anyway, he goes, you know what gets deals? And and they were like, no, what? He goes, well, how do we get deals? He goes, this is what gets deals. This right here, right? People come to me because they know me, right? It's not who you know, it's who knows you, right? Mm-hmm. And so when you're talking about relationship selling, you spend that five minutes. So, and they're always, and every salesperson will tell you, you need to find their hot buttons. What better way to find their hot button than to let them tell you their favorite story, which is always about themselves, right? And by the way, you don't tell your story first. You let them tell your story first. First of all, it's polite, okay? And second of all, you might adjust your story to their story, right? And it's still true, but it might pull in something like, I might talk about one of my mentors, who was #1 rep for Pfizer, right? You might have said, yeah, I used to do pharmaceutical, and then I wait, and then we could have a conversation about that, right? Or whatever, right? So you don't know. So you always tell your story. You always let them tell their story first. Then you tell your story, because what are they going to do? They're going to ask you about your story, right? And then you can segue that in back to them or wherever. But the more they feel in control, actually, the more control you're in. So you give up that control to be in control. People sometimes they really don't get it, and so.
No, it is a paradigm shift, 100%. And I think that to sort of rebound on what you said, every time you teach, you learn. Every time you learn, you teach. There's sort of a very interesting mentor-mentee relationship that I think is fantastic and very underrated, actually, at any age and any stage of life as well. One thing that obviously you focus on is achieving rapid income growth. Sort of a very key differentiator within this mentorship program is that you actually promise basically to double your income in 3 months. I'm really wondering, I suppose, for not only for you, as you've been doing this for decades, so you know this like the back of your pockets, but what's fundamental, I suppose, principles that supports this quite ambitious goal when you think about it? What's no, you talking about the restructuring of the schedule and so on, but give me more meat around the bone concerning what makes this basically so effective.
So it's not me that makes it effective. It's you that makes it effective, first of all. All right. So all I do is get you to do the one thing that nobody does. So everybody, let me go back. People always tell me when I show them that sign that says focus, because it's almost always in it. And I say, okay. And they say, yeah, I need to get more focused. No, you don't. Nobody needs to get more focused. And the reason, if people's like, what? No, I do. No, you don't. You need to get more focused on the one thing. You're focused, and then squirrel, you're focused over there. Squirrel, you're focused over there. And entrepreneurs especially have same thing for me. From good to great, there's the 3 circles, right? And so you've got to follow that. That's, if you don't know what I'm talking about, go get the good to great from Collins and look at the 3 circle diagram. I've got it up there, but we won't go to it. But and you stay in your area. And so that is one of the main things is when you're trying to get more money, doesn't it make sense that you should be trying to make more friends? Right.
Right.
And so the problem is people don't want to invest the time to make more friends. So all I do is basically get you focused on the one thing. Hello. If you spend just an hour a day, picking up the phone or going on LinkedIn and doing it, I really Dripify or LinkedIn Helper or really seriously. I think that's how we met. I was using a program that was going out there, and I don't know if you'll remember, but I'm getting ready to do it again. I'm getting ready for a new campaign. And the first one out there is, hey, Sam, we haven't talking in forever and a day. And my mentor always says you're one relationship away from changing your future. Let's talk. And then I put my thing, right? And then the next one is a Chuck Norris joke. I do dad jokes. That's me. And if it's not your personality, don't do it. But I do Chuck Norris jokes, hey, Chuck Norris, I know I've slipped through the cracks. You haven't responded to me, but Chuck Norris, the dinosaurs upset him just once. Okay. And then the next one is another Chuck Norris joke. Okay, Chuck Norris can't do everything. I mean, but he did play all the instruments in band. So, at the same time. So, and then the last one is again, back to the relationship thing. And this will be my last attempt. And sometimes it's longer than 4, but on the last one, it's my last attempt. And you'll be surprised at how people will respond. Actually, I used to not do the relationship to the very end. And that's when everybody responds, said, love your stuff, but I'm really busy. Give me a call in 2 weeks. Fortunes in the follow-up. We can talk about that later. But if you spend an hour a day doing anything, any type of lead generation, but if you can make calls, just calling and saying, hey, haven't talked to you in forever and a day, and just seeing if, how you're doing, you'd be surprised. An hour a day. You're not going to talk to that many people because you're going to get a lot of, I'm busy. And there's a way to make the call. We can talk about that later if you want, but because there's things that you have to say before you start anything. And I'll just say it right now. Hey, let's just ring. Say hello.
Hello.
Hey, Sam, this is Steven Beaver. I just wanted to, hey, have I caught you at a good time?
Yeah, it's pretty good, but it's quite a busy day though. So just
okay. So I just wanted to take a couple minutes and see how you were doing. And if you want, we could do coffee or whatever.
I'm doing good. Tell me more.
Okay. So he just told me I could sell.
Yeah, exactly. You just need the first yes.
And by the way, I actually changed it on you. You actually asked if it's a bad time because you even hesitated on the good time. I just wanted to see if it would work. But you were being nice. But if you say good time, there's never a good time to talk because everybody's got fires to put out. But if you ask if it's a bad time, for some reason, they go with that. I don't know why, but it works better if you ask if it's a bad time. Is this a bad time? I guess the reason is because they'll tell you it's a bad time, right? If you say it's a good time, no, this is a bad time. But if you say it's a bad time, you've already beat them to the punchline. So
yeah, it's sort of the reverse psychology in many ways, and it's interesting because sort of one thing that is very interesting with what you do is that obviously it's relationship sales, basically perspective, but it's still very, very heavy on the sales side. But then basically you said, you know what? I have a hard time with basically having sales teams. You used to have companies as well. So I really want to get sort of in the trenches of what it is to building a successful sales teams, or I suppose successful sales process like the one you just depicted. I not only want you to expand on sort of the strategy that you recommend for assembling basically a high-performing sales teams, but also want to nurture them. What I found, Steven, and I'm sure you found the same thing, is that at first, basically, when you're putting a sales team together, everybody's excited. It's new, it's fresh. Everybody's sort of just driving and just, okay, all right, perfect. Let's go all in for X amount of time. But then there's truly a relationship-based, again, process to nurture it to a point where not only do you stay with you for forever, if possible, or aligned to the project that you have, but also doing so in a way in which they're happy and fulfilled. Tell me more about all of that with all the experience you have.
So here's the main thing when you're building a sales team. Don't hire anybody unless you've done at least 3 interviews, 3 separate people, and they all have a script that questions that they're going to ask. And they all 3 have to say, yeah, we'd hire this guy. If one says no, and if they're late once, you're out.
Okay.
You're out. Now, there's a number of different things that you can do, depending on the sales team that you're doing. One of them, and I built this was probably about 10 years ago. I built a sales team for this company, and I started out with it's a book called A Message to Garcia. Okay. And all I would say on the first call was, "Hey, great, you made it through. Everybody likes what they're seeing. All I want you to do is go read A Message to Garcia." And it's a book that you can find on Google, and it's 100 years old, so you don't have to worry about copyright laws. You can just download it. And then all I want you to do is tell me how it's going to affect you personally and professionally. And then, email me a thing back and tell me what it is. Now, there was 2 things going on behind the scenes. One, you asked, what was the book's name again? That was 1. What's it about? That's 2. Is there a timeline on it? That's 3. You're out. Because when you read A Message to Garcia, it's all about you going out and doing the thing, right?
Okay.
And then the second thing was they had a 48-hour timer on that said if they didn't send me the email in 48 hours or 48 hours and 1 second, you're out. So, and the reason is there's one of my mentors was interviewing the CEO of the Marriott, and he got in there and he goes, "I just got to ask you a question." And the guy's like, "Okay." He goes, everybody I'm in the hallway and they're smiling and waving and saying hi to me, and I'm at the lobby and it's not just it's everybody is so happy and nice to me. He says, "I just got to ask you straight up, how do you train these people to do that?" And the guy looked at him like the puppy dog look, like, "What?" He goes, yeah. How do you train these people to be so happy and nice to other people? I've been trying to do this for years. And he goes, "Dude, we don't train anybody to be happy and nice. We just hire happy and nice people." And he was like, "Oh, I've been doing it wrong all this time." So you hire the people that are go-getters. So A, B, and C, this is one of the things that I talk about. There are A players, B players, and C players. C players are looking for a job as soon as they got one. Okay, they're just there for the paycheck. B players, they want to make an impact, but they want everybody to know that they made the impact. And A players don't care who made the impact. Just you gave me a thing and I will run you over. If you don't move to the left or right, Steven, I'm out. I'm going to run you over and I'm going to go do this thing. And I don't care who gets credit. And here's the unfortunate stuff behind this. B players will never hire an A player because they show them up. They'll always hire C players so that they can take the credit. A players will not stay in an organization very long if there are B or C players because they don't understand the inability to work and do the right thing, right? They just don't get it. And birds of a feather flock together. It's an old psychology thing, right? And so A players, once you start getting A players and you only hire A players, you don't need a huge team, right? Think about this. You've got a team of 100 in a call center, more than that, right? Why do they have so many? Because they don't have closers. They don't have people that can build relationships. They have people that are there and gone after a week, right? There's a huge turnover. But let's just say you have, within 2 months, 5 people that have an 80 to 90% close ratio. Another 2 or 3 months, let's say 5 more, that's 10. At the end of the year, let's just say that you just did terrible hiring and you have 20 people that have a 90% close ratio. Would you rather have that or the 100 people that you got to keep, right? And now the neat thing about this, you ask about motivation. The neat thing about this is, yes, you still have to motivate these people, but it's like going downhill in a car, right? It's like, yeah, you still got to steer and you got to put the brakes on and maybe even speed up a little bit, because you got a ramp maybe you're going off of, you got a big sail or something, but you don't need to do a lot to keep you keep them. And here's the other thing with A people, only works with the A people. You overpay them. So if the standard going rate for your salesperson is $100,000 a year, do the math. You'll find that you'll make money. Pay them $150,000. What? Are you crazy? Well, you're paying these people that are only closing 20 to 50% of the time. Now you've got this person, and there's no turnover. I think it's the Container store that has a 20% increase every year, and they have like a net profit, and they have like, I want to say 5% turnover. Turnovers where you get, because you got to retrain, right? They don't have to and so you start building companies like this or sales forces like this. It's way different. Now, again, you do have to do things. Well, so like, are these people money motivated? No. But there's 3 reasons why people quit a job. Only 3. Well, there's really 4, but only 3 we're going to talk about right now. They don't feel like part of the team. All A players got that covered. They don't feel appreciated. Well, you're there all the way going, good job, you guys are amazing. Couldn't have the business without you, and doing the other things too, right? So you got that covered. And then the third one is money. And here's the thing, even if they are only barely able to pay the bills, they'll probably stick with you because they feel appreciated and they feel like part of the team. And we're creatures of community, going back to the psychology, right? We are creatures of community. There is no such thing 20,000 years ago as a lone person out in the wilderness surviving. 0. If you were the tribal leader and I upset you and you kicked me out of the tribe, that was 100% certain death. So, you start to look at your structure like that. Now, I didn't say it was easy to find these people, but these people are always looking for playing organizations.
Yes.
They're out there. They're upset because they got the B players and maybe C players in there. And maybe there's only a couple of those A players and they're holding, you've always got it's the 80-20. You've always got that A player doing 80. I trained a guy, same thing. It was like when they had a contest, everybody knew they were fighting for second place. Because if I sold 1,000, you sold 10,000, and that was just your average. You weren't even upping the game, right? So it's like nobody thought about first place. It was always about the second place. So, but you think about that guy, and that guy actually went out and built his own company, and the rest is history, right? So, anyway, that's some of the things that you really got to look for in building a sales team. And I think the main difference that I see with you asked this question earlier, the difference between what I do and what everybody else does is there are hundreds of objections. I call them concerns. And this is also a psychology thing. When you say objection is a court term by an attorney. And if an attorney objects to something, they'll stand on it to the day they die. So now what you've done is you've said to well, why do you have that objection? Well, guess what? You want to stand on it to the day they die. If you say concern, that's a different thing. You see, if you object to your kids going to public school, your private school, 100%, right? Or you do it yourself, right? But if you say, why do you have a concern about that? Well, I have this feeling about, oh, what did I just say? Feeling, because concerns are about feelings, not about facts. Objections are about facts. And we got to switch the feelings, right? And so you go down that road and you talk about feelings. Well, if you didn't feel that way, then in your opinion, and there's another key word, what's the best way that you can get somebody to love you? Ask their opinion, right? Self-worth, right? So there's a script that I have that I've used for over 30 years. And it has a base statement, a mini base statement, and you tell your story, and then you have this, and you can literally handle anything with these 5 or 6 scripts. And the scripts aren't memorized. The scripts are partial language. So if you said, just give me any do you want to buy? Say no and give me a reason. Don't give me a reason. Just say, do you want to buy, Sam?
No, I don't want to buy. I need to ask my wife about it. I need to talk with my people.
I can appreciate that. If you weren't concerned about your wife not buying, then in your opinion, do you feel that this would be the right program for you?
I think so, but again, I think it's there's a money component. There's also a timeline. I'm just unsure.
Right. So if you weren't concerned about the money or the time, then in your opinion, do you think this would be a good fit?
Yeah, sure.
You only lasted 2, right? Before you got uncomfortable, right? It's like, oh shit, this guy's gonna, in your back, maybe not consciously, but in the back of your mind, shit, he's gonna say it again. So I didn't answer. So what the problem is everybody would answer, but well, the higher authority close, right? And like, no, because now you threw out time, and then you didn't even wait. You threw out money. You tried to overwhelm me. And I kicked back without even thinking about it. I don't care what you say. I had a guy say, Steven, I would buy your, because we were role playing for another group. And he says, Steven, I would buy your product, but I've got cow patties out in the pasture. He thought he had me. And I said, you weren't concerned about the cow patties out in the pasture. Then in your opinion, do you think this? And he's like, damn it. And I was like, it works for everything, right? And so instead of having to memorize all, 75 different things, and Zig Ziglar says there's only 5 real reasons, and you hit 3 of them right there: higher authority, money, time. If you can just get those 5, that's why most of my people always have about a 90% close ratio. Everybody has bad days. Everybody has a customer that's just, hell no, it doesn't matter. But here's the reason that this is another important thing. There's only 2 things that you look for in a customer. Only 2. Do they want what you have, and can they afford it?
Yes.
You do not pick up the phone and talk to somebody that isn't those 2. Stop. Right? Cold calling, whatever. Okay. If they have those 2 but there's a way to cold call that not really a cold call, but you see what I mean? It's like you're talking to somebody that can't afford it or doesn't want it. If I have to sell somebody on the idea of whatever it is that your product or service is, I have done a terrible job. Why am I talking to this person? I call it the 3-minute video, right? You make a 1 to 3 minute video that answers the 3 most important questions that whatever your customer is. That's all you do. It's like, hey, you want to talk? Great. Yeah. Hey, let's make an appointment for next week. Watch this 3-minute video. It'll tell you all the stuff that you really need to know. And then we can have an educated decision on if it's a right fit for you or not. Oh, okay. Pick up the phone. Hey, did you watch the video? You didn't? Oh, okay. So we can watch it now, or we can just go ahead and reschedule. And yeah, I'll reschedule because I have to sell them that idea. I don't want to sell them that idea. I want them to question that idea and ask buying questions. See, that's the difference. Asking questions about your product and asking buying questions. Well, why is this product better? Like you did. Why is this product better than that? Why is your program better than this? Right. So you watch the video, you make you get the, hey, one relationship away from changing your future. You watch the video, get on the Calendly. We do a 5-minute, and then there's the base statement and whatever. And I go into my sales presentation, which can be used for literally anything. So if you change jobs, you don't have to change your sales presentation. You just change. You can do the same thing for paper clips as you could for insurance. I mean, literally, you just input it, right? It's like And I literally in my program I have the base statement, and then the green is where you just it's like put your stuff in here, put your thing in here, and so it's fun. It's super fun because every salesperson out there is scared of the no. And the no is in any way saying I don't want your product. No is not just no. Right? So yes. This is the fun part about it. I guess the fun part about it is you literally, doesn't matter what anybody says, you're ready for it. You never have to worry about somebody throwing you a curveball. There's no curveball that you can throw when you just have this, well, apparently if you weren't concerned, in your opinion, do you feel it starts to make sense now to you hearing it now? You're like, oh shit, this is all right. And so that's all it is. And then there's ways to set everything up, and then 90% close ratio.
Those are pretty strict boundaries, specifically on the video parts. Were you always like this, or perhaps are you like this in life as well? Tell me more about sort of did you grow into this understanding that those are necessary for success, or that's just part of who you are?
No, I used to go to a different town or city, usually town. I like small towns, country boy, right? So I go to a different town every week, and I would go into all the businesses, and I would go in, and I would just, but back in the 80s and 90s, there was no internet. It was all one-on-one. And so, but as I evolved, I'm the change agent, right? Not for you, for me. And this is what makes me who I am, and why I'm good at what I do, is because I listen. But it came about where I was like, yeah, we got to do it this way, not that way anymore. And I still believe that if someone was to actually do what I used to do and actually go out and talk to people, just go out to a town and you use the 5 minute, especially small towns. Well, I would disagree with myself right there. I think everybody is missing the human connection, right?
Okay.
I mean, and so if you just go out to a business and you just like, hey, I know you're super busy, but have I caught you at a bad time? And they're like, no, I just want to know blah, 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 blah. I won't go through the whole presentation, but, and it is, I've got something that's the mini base statement. I've got something that's convenient, available to almost everybody. And it's something that I do because I care. Now you say something like that to somebody. What are they going to be an ass? Some, yes. Okay. Yeah. Most, no.
No,
right?
Very few.
Right. And so, I know that you're super swamped because my wife has a business. She's got a cat grooming and boarding business. And I understand she's the ahead of everything and it all coming down. If I can just buy you a cup of coffee or lunch and just pick your brain and see if we can be a fit, I'll tell you my story of how I got to where I am and why I care. And you can tell me why you see how I'm already setting it all up. Right. And so we go get the coffee and I was like, okay, remember, I really don't care about your business. I care about you. What does that say right away? It's like, holy crap, that's completely different than everybody else. Right.
That's one thing I want to tell you about. That's novelty in business is one of the key components. We study neuroscience at a very high level with Centric, obviously, as you know, and which is why organizations there's a very interesting thing that happened with novelty because it's directly basically against the very unfortunately thing that we see in the market right now, which is saturations. Everybody basically say the same thing in the same way. And we can talk about why such thing basically typically occurs. But novelty is so special because those moments are moments in which they remember in their day, in their week, in their month, depending of how big of a project that was. And I think that's truly a key component of not only relationship building and relationships basically based sales, but I think it's a key component of life. There's this moments in life. Most of the time, it's not the most complicated. Most of the time, it's not where you made the most money. There's these moments in which just mark you because they're novel. There was something different. Hey, I just love this person because he's so interesting. Can you explain it? Not really. There's just something that, you know what I mean? That's very, very powerful. And I suppose for you, you're obviously a very charismatic guy, and you're somebody that can talk like this for hours and hours. But I suppose I want to talk to you about just the importance of continuous learning, specifically in sales, but also as a human being, periods.
obviously there's sort of this understanding now, especially in this I suppose world where it's ever evolving and everything goes so fast. But what resources do you use to, I suppose, not only stay productive but also stay so novel, perhaps stay so bright and smiling? Tell me more about that.
So interestingly enough, I'll start with something that most people won't think about. I used to play chess when I was a teenager, and I won a chess tournament. Now, the person I won against, we used to play against each day, and I never could beat him. And it was a double elimination, and we got each other first. I'm like, shit. And he beat me. So I'm in the loser's bracket. So he goes all the way up. I go all the way up. We're there, and we're playing, and I'm like, holy crap. And he goes, what? And I'm like, that's a 3-move checkmate. What? And I'm like, when he's like, knocks his king over. So we play again because it's double elimination. So that was his one, right?
Right.
And we're playing and it's getting close. And I'm like, oh shit. And I make a move and then I'm like, holy crap. And he's like, what? And he's looking at me and I'm like, that's a 2-move checkmate that I just did. I didn't even see it, right? And I never beat him again. He wiped the floor with me after that, but I got lucky, laboring under correct knowledge. I got lucky twice, and it was at the right time. So, there's this thing that I do when I'm doing one-on-ones that I do with Clifton Strength Finder. I have them take a Clifton Strength Finder, and my 5 in Clifton Strength Finder, the first one is individualization, which basically means I can talk to somebody for an hour or two, and because of all the time that I've spent doing this, I can literally have your life planned out for 10 years in advance. I know where you can go, what you can be. I see you for who you could be, not for who you are, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's my number one superpower. It's actually my kryptonite too, because most people don't believe me, and that just pisses me off. It's like, no, Sam, you don't understand. You are amazing. I see what you know, right? And I see where you can go. Shut up and just listen to me. I can't say that, but that's what I'm thinking, right?
Right.
The second one is learning. And you'll see that's the common denominator for all successful people, is that they're avid learners. We wake up, we fear that somebody will find us out. I can't remember what it's called, but I fear that somebody will find out I'm not that smart, right? I only do a few things really well, really well, but I'm not that smart, right? I mean, if we wanted a heart surgeon, you ain't gonna call me, right? So, but so I'm continuously learning, and then command. I do take command when I'm out there. I want to be in charge. I want to go. And then activator and achiever are the top 5ers, and they're very strong for what I do. I've had other Clifton Strength Finder individuals say, "Wow, this is pretty damn good," and not that others like for instance, my wife. There's a thing called Woo, and basically I bastardize it, but it's just my version of it. Woo in Clifton Strength Finder is how much you care about how people care about you, right? Gosh, do you care about? So my wife, that's like in her top 10. On mine, out of the 35, it's like 33, and I don't know how it got so high because I don't care what somebody thinks about me, which is another thing that you have to know as far as you got to have a thick skin when you're in sales, right? So, yes. But it gets, you don't have to have such a thick skin afterwards, it's like, oh shit, this is so easy. But you do need to have a thick skin because it being an entrepreneur and everything and stuff, but I don't care, right? I am who I am. And that's all that I am. I'm Popeye the Sailor Man, And so some people get that. And some people look at me and they'll say, God, that guy can't know what he knows because look what he just did. Look how he dresses. And then other people will say, shit, that guy's got to know what he knows. I mean, look what he just did. Look what he just said. So, right. So arguably, whether you like him or not, no matter which side of the fence they're on, the president of the United States walks into Chili's, 50% of the people there are going to want to spit on him, and the other 50 are going to have him kiss the baby, right? And that's the most powerful man in the world. 50% of the population normally hates him. I don't care which side of the fence you're on. So I say we don't have enough people hate us enough. Go out and, when you talk about going to avatars, and I talk about learning, I know, but I'm going off the subject, but when you talk about avatars, you don't pick an avatar. the avatar picks you. The raving fans pick you because they understand. People that resonate with this automatically like me and they want to do business with me. Now, if I wore a suit for, you know, to look good for you, okay, and then went out and met somebody at a meetup or whatever, and I wore this, they'd be like, whoa, that's not real. Who are you? What, you were a fake? You're right. So so your avatar is actually you in disguise. When I do avatar training, I don't really tell people that. I say, all right, well, who do you want to, and then I let them know, and they're like, and then they start changing things. Like, why are women, I deal with men too, but why do I like to deal with men and women? Well, because I believe that there's a natural thing for men and women, right?
Yes.
And if you ever meet me, you'll notice that I'm like 5 foot, I say 5'6.5". My doctors are haters. They say 5'6" now.
Wow. So you're a titan.
I'm small. And when I was you know, in high school and barely out of high school, I was 120 to 130 pounds.
Wow.
So I'm a small guy. And so I understand, and I'm also a 7th degree black belt. I've got 2 national championships in basically Greco wrestling, if you wanted to talk about what it was. 45 plus years, you know, doing stuff. I got a blue belt in jiu-jitsu, you know, and so I'm a man, right? I ain't scared, but I understand not on the complete level, but on a woman's level, what it's like to be smaller than everybody else. Now, I am the 800-pound gorilla in the room, right? Don't get me wrong. I mean, so I don't understand on that level, but I do understand on the level I was bullied. Why did I stick with martial arts for so long and get so good? Because I was bullied as a kid.
100%.
Yeah, I'm being bullied right now from a fitness industry that doesn't want to hire me because I'm a white male, and I have 30 years of experience in the aerobic community, 45 in the fitness community, and I am overqualified, and they won't hire me. Why? She doesn't like me.
It's by the way, 45 in the fitness community. How old are you now?
I don't look it, but I'm 63.
That's you want to know something? I would have said, and I'm not giving you flour, I actually think this. I would have said 51, beginning of 50s. You look very young, very, very young. So, you know, you're doing something right. But I really want to bounce on this chess example, because you said it with chess, you said it with obviously martial art is the exact same thing. You said it with sales as well. But cultivating a resilient mindset is so extraordinarily important, not only for you as a person, but for the world you want to serve. I think it was Confucius, actually, very interesting philosopher, saying that it doesn't matter how slow you basically go, as long as you don't stop, perhaps. And that's a little bit of what basically sales is at the beginning, after you have all these principle and framework, and it goes much more smoothly. But I suppose for you, it seemed to be a way of life, right? A resilient mindset is not only from the fact that you were bullied and so on, but it's a way of life. Tell me more about that, and just how beneficial it is to sort of never give up, and how hard it is to get against an opponent that won't let go.
Well, so you're going to go back to the cultivating mindset. And now I'm going to tie into your previous question about learning. The only way you can cultivate a healthy, productive, positive mindset is to continually learn. And because what is the brain designed to do? The brain is designed to survive, okay? And 20,000 years ago, if the bush shook, and I went to go see if it was berries or a bunny, and a tiger came out and killed me, I didn't reproduce. And the people that stood back and said, yeah, we're going to stay back here, they reproduced. Again, going back to if you were the tribal leader and I challenged you, you kicked me out, I didn't reproduce. So we naturally, and our brain is designed to conserve energy. So that's also important for later on. So we are designed to be not average, but slightly below average, because the more we stick out our head, the more danger there is that you're going to get upset, or I'm going to do something silly and get killed by a tiger, right? Okay, so you've got that. And because the brain is designed to conserve energy, because 20,000 years ago, we didn't have Walmarts. We didn't know where our next meal was coming from, right? So we follow the gazelles, right? And that's why we're the apex predators. It's not because of our strength. Every other animal out there is stronger than us, pretty much. It's because this is really funny, and I'll get back to the learning. But this is part of the learning, right? This is what I learned. So this is why
Keep it up.
Okay. So the reason that we're the apex predator on the planet is because we perspire. Every other animal pants, and you can only pant for so long. And so we walk the gazelle for 5 to 10 miles a day. That's what we did. That's why aerobic conditioning is so important. That's actually what keeps you healthier more than anything else. You got to lift weights and blah, blah, blah. But aerobic conditioning is, if you have to do one thing, aerobic conditioning. So because we would walk the gazelles 5, and then we'd pick out the one that was really getting tired, and we go after it. We get it. Yay, we eat. If we don't, we try to do it tomorrow, right? And so learning these things, these little things, cultivates a strong mindset. And on a much deeper level, when you learn something like, okay, I'm going to ask you a question, and as fast as you can, I want you to give me the answer. All right? Ready?
You're ready when you are.
All right. What's your first name?
Sam.
Did you think about it?
No.
No. It's an auto response. And that's because you have this thing called myelin in there. And myelin says, this is important. I need to know this lightning fast, right? Okay. And so because now you know that it's called myelin, you might want to go research it. But the brain said, when you were first a baby, they went, Sam, poke, 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 Sam. Oh, you said, oh, there's a key word there. And then you finally figured out this is important, and the myelin set in. Now, you could change your name to Bob. And if you wanted to change your name to Bob, the myelin would say, what's your name? You go, Bob, because the myelin is there, right? But then this little bitty thing says Bob. And as you start to use Bob more, the myelin decreases. It'll always be there. No matter how small it gets, there's always going to be there. Even if you changed it at 5 years old and you started to change your name to Bob, you're always going to have that there, but it's not myelin now. Myelin is now attached to Bob, right? Mm-hmm. And so this is, in jiu-jitsu, there's this guy named Rickson Gracie. He's the number one. He's the god of all jiu-jitsu. I mean, he never lost. He's 400 matches, never lost. I mean, he's just the god of, and on the street, I mean, it's like he didn't care. The only rule that he had was that he got to use his jiu-jitsu. I didn't care what size you were, didn't care what style you were, didn't care if you were jiu-jitsu or what, it didn't matter. And he would meet any bear at any time, and he fought professionally too. But why is he so good? He's got myelin for this stuff, right? It's just myelin. He's not smarter than you. He's not smarter than me. He's stupid, just like you and me. Because everybody is really, if you study your craft, really good at only one or two things. I'll go back to martial arts to prove it. Do you do martial arts, Sam?
Little bit. I'm more of a weightlifter, but a little bit.
That's okay. So let me ask you a question. If you got in a street fight, would you use your second best technique or your first best technique?
I'll go with my first if I can.
So we all have one or two techniques. That's pretty much it. That our go-to techniques. That doesn't mean you won't use another technique. Yeah. Okay. But your go-to technique is your lifesaver, right? And why would you? So we study, there's all kinds of ways you can choke somebody out, or you can kick somebody, you can punch somebody, you can wrist lock them, whatever. Okay. But one or two, that's it. And if you look at life, there's one or two things, usually, sometimes three, but usually one or two things that you are like the man, okay, at, right? And so that's the learning. That's the myelin. Rickson Gracie isn't better than me when it comes to that. And yoga, by the way, that's his influence that made him so great, was actually yoga. When your heartbeat was at 165, his was at 155. He had that much control. So there was a lot of psychology behind what he did, and he only tapped people out two ways, basically. He got you to turn on your stomach, and then he rear neck choked you, or he got you to give you his arm sooner or later, and he armbarred you. If you look at, like, that's 99% of the way that he he finished it off, right? 2 techniques, right? So
Yeah, exactly. It reminds me of, Ovechkin right now in hockey is doing phenomenal things. I think he's now 8 goals away from Gretzky's records. And you look at his highlights, and look, the guy is phenomenal, by the way. He has skills out of this world. But at least half his goal, even probably more, is on a power play on the left side, ready to just one-timer. And he's so goddamn good at it. Definitely got it from Brett Hall and amongst others. But it's so, and I totally agree with you when we see this in any industries. Obviously, the combination of these expertise get you to become a novel person, a person that is completely unique and therefore valuable from an intrinsic standpoint. But at the end of the day, most of your skills relies into 1, 2, maybe 3 world-class abilities. And I definitely agree with you on that. Let me ask you a subsequential basically question on that then. If we all know that is the case, is it a better use of your time, coming back to sort of the focus portion, to actually focus on these 3 and making sure they are the highest level possible? Or perhaps how do you use your own time to not only focus on these world-class elements that you know you're world-class at compared to the entirety of the other skills you might want to learn? Do you have a framework, a mind framework to choose that?
So yeah. So first of all, okay, are we talking martial arts or are we talking business?
Let's do business.
Okay. So, there's only a few things that you need to learn to survive. Let's just keep in sales. Okay. So you need to learn how to tell your story, and you need to learn a base statement, and then you need to learn apparently you blah, 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 blah. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what's most important thing? So so I had a friend that he's been in the insurance business for 45 years, and he wanted to do something. And I have most people don't know it because I don't really talk about it, but I have a license in insurance also. And I said, I'll help you for 2 years, build your business. And then after that, I'm gone. And so he says, all right, let me tell you all about it. I said, no. I don't need to know all about it. I only need to know a story. You tell me one little story. It takes me 2 to 5 minutes to tell. And then I'll tell you what I need to know. He's like, but you need to know all of this. I said, no, I don't. I'll just trust me on this. He goes, all right, fine. And we're good friends, so I can talk to him like that, right? And he believed me because he's seen me do things. So he gave me this story. And so I say, hey, Sam, how you doing? Blah, 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 blah. Hey, I came across this thing. I thought you'd be interested. Mind if I tell you about it? Yeah, okay. Boom, boom. And I tell you this story. And then you would say, well, that sucks. I would never do that. I'm like, okay. Or you would say, wow. And you say the 3 words you always want to hear. Tell me more. And I'd say, I don't know more, but I know the president of the company. And if you don't, we can do like lunch at Chili's or a coffee at Mocho Java's. And I can get him to come down and he'll answer all your questions. If you would just give me this one favor, let me be the fly on the wall. I won't talk the whole time. You can ask all the questions you want. I just want to learn from him and from you. And so I did this about 5 or 6 times. And I noticed that my friend wasn't that smart, Mike Unkelbach. He wasn't that smart because he always said the same 2 or 3 stories. But that's because the potential client was always asking the same 2 or 3 questions. And so then I stopped calling him. And after a couple of weeks, he's like, dude, I thought you were going to help me with my company. I was like, yeah, but I don't need you. I know everything you know now, which is a joke. He knew it. And I laughed because he understood what I was saying. But then what happened? I answered those 3 or 4 questions and they asked me a question they didn't know. And I go, you know what? I don't know the answer to that. You see, telling somebody that instead of BSing is a huge, right? I said, but I do know the president of the company and I've got him on speed dial. Do you mind if I just text him? And if he can't get back to it, we can do coffee or a lunch. And you go, oh yeah, sure. And that was it, right? That's it. So you don't need to know everything, but you need to know the product. Don't get me wrong. Okay. You got to study that, but you don't need to do that to go out to get customers. That's why you have an upline. That's why you have a manager. That's why you have an owner. It's right. And if you're bringing whoever you're working for, customers that are asking buying questions, right? Now they're asking buying questions, right? 90% close ratio. Thanks for playing.
Yeah.
So you talked about, so this all ties in though with the learning, right? So I had to learn that. And then I had to realize that I wasn't that smart, but instead of trying to learn everything and then going out and doing it, I just learned it as I went, and everybody made money.
And that's very interesting. I'm really wondering, one of the last topic that I want to dive into with you, Steven, is that what you're saying sound-wise apply to all ages, you can do this in person, you can do this online. It's very, very flexible, and you seem to have that sort of brain where you're able to basically bolt things down to a place where it's so easy that even your grandma can do it, perhaps, is
Yes.
one of your tagline. And so from that perspective, I am wondering about how much do you were talking a little bit about LinkedIn, but how much do you leverage technology nowadays in more of the sort of the modern sales strategy, I suppose? Tell me more about, do you personally integrate technology? If so, how much? And I suppose, how do you do that without losing your personal touch and just your phenomenal personality altogether?
Yeah. So personal touch, I'll answer that one first. It's really simple. I tell dad jokes. I talk the way I when I say gonna or y'all, I write that out. And when I use ChatGPT, I put it in there. This is how I talk. So it'll write it for me, right? And I'll look at it and I'll change things because it doesn't really fit what I like, right?
Yeah.
But like I said, like when I was like, if you're not a dad joke type of person and you're serious, then use ChatGPT and you go, yeah, that's how I talk, right? And then you do it, but you gotta do the things that you are, right? So what was the second part?
Well, I suppose, how do you integrate technology to keep your personal touch, which you said?
Yeah.
And I suppose, if you from a sales team perspective, just to tie it into sort of a second fold of questions, is it bright, or I suppose, is it clever to what we see these days is that we have sort of a reliance on technology that is extremely high. Even some sales teams don't use anything else in technology. Do you think that's clever? How do we balance perhaps the tools we're using to a place where we don't only retain our humanity, but also retain the high, basically, closing rate you're talking about?
Yeah, so that's a two-step question. So one is, if you have a brick and mortar, then you can go out and talk to people because they're around there. So you would use the same strategy, right? You got your stories, you got your base statement, you got, apparently you blah, 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 right? So you can use it on both things, but technology only does one thing, actually. Technology does only one thing. It increases whatever you're doing. So if whatever you're doing is wrong, you just get more wrong faster. So, but if what you're doing is right, it's a catalyst, and a catalyst doesn't care if it's good or bad, right? People think catalyst's always good. No, catalyst's bad too, right? So, and so I do use technology since COVID. Before that, I was pretty close to just around the town, so to speak, doing networking. I think that to truly, I say that, but this is just my opinion.
Yeah.
But to truly hone your skills, you should go out and network at least once or twice a week. Just because you'll find that you will be more you when you're one-on-one with someone, not because you're trying to be more authentic, but because there's a human interaction, a protons firing at quantum physics level. Like if I shake somebody's hand or give them a hug, literally I have given them some part of myself on a level, on a quantum physics level. They're merging, right? I mean, it's literally physically, some of my stuff, it goes out, some of their stuff comes in. That's just quantum physics. You can deny it, but you're wrong, in my opinion. So the technology, the best way, in my opinion, to use the technology is to go out for the masses. And if you're a masses person, how many clients do you need? How many clients do you really need? Think about this for a second. Do you need 10,000 clients? No.
Probably not.
You really only need, you can talk about Dunbar's stuff. He says 150. I say 100 because I don't have time for 150, and I still can't remember 150. I can't remember 100. But if you had 5 people that gave you 1 to 4 leads a month. And when I say leads, these are people that are saying, damn, you told me to watch the video. I watched the video. What's the guy? I'm going to make an appointment. Okay. They just give you 1 to 4, 5 people, 1 to 4 good leads a month. How would that affect your business, Sam?
Quite a bit. We do have it in my business, but for those that don't have it, it would be huge. Absolutely.
Yep. Okay. So what I call those the fabulous 5. What if you had 5 people that gave you 1 lead to 2 leads every 6 months? Still help?
It would still help, yeah, for sure. Yes.
Okay. So now you got the terrific 10. Okay. What if you had 10 more people that gave you 1 lead a year?
I'll still take it.
Right. So you got 20 is plenty. Think about that now. Think about how much leads that is. Now here's what people do. They're like, yeah, but I need more. Well, yeah, of course you need more. But here's what you're always trying to do. I got 3 levels, right? The fabulous 5. So with those 10 that are giving you, and I won't go into how I set this all up, but you've got 10 people. You got the other 5 that the 10 is, terrific 10. You show them, because there's a way to motivate people to give you leads. You get those 10 to be the fabulous 5. So now you have 10 fabulous 5s. You have 10 people that are giving you 1 to 4 leads every month. And then you try to get those 10 that are giving you 1 lead a year up to the terrific 10 that are just giving you 1 lead every 1 to 4 leads, let's say every 6 months. And so you're always trying. So at the end of the year, if you're doing it right, you should have 20 people that are giving you 1 to 4 leads every month.
Not bad. Not bad.
That's
All right.
your first year.
Yeah, we'll make sure that people try that. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, so if you're gonna tell me to make people try that, and let me tell you the secret on how to make it work, because it won't work if you don't do it this way. So remember how my sales process goes. So I know that this works for your wife. Don't tell your wife you learned a new sales process and you're using it on her, because that'll end not nicely. Okay. So don't tell anybody you're learning this. Just let this be part of your language. Right. So you find somebody that gave you a referral. And so you take them to lunch, you go through your process, right? Of meet and greet. Oh, yeah, tell me about yourself. We never did this 5-minute talk, blah, blah, blah. And so, you know what, but you gave me 3 leads last month. And one of them actually panned out. It was great. And so here's a credit card, and I give 10% away. So if I sell a $10,000, I mean, that's good change, right? So, and so here's a card, and let's just say it's $200. So, and what they'll do is they'll go, no, I just gave you a lead because, you're a good guy. I like you. But well, no, that's $200 right there is yours. Well, I'm not going to take it. Some people will do that. You want to find out how to get them to take it? This is how you do it, because it's never not happened. It's like, okay. And so at the end of the meal, it's like, hey, this is great. Hey, your card. No, that's not my card. It's your card. Well, I don't want it. Well, then you're giving a $200 tip to the waitress. And I tip well. I tip 20 to 30% on the waitress. So she's going to make out like they always take it. Now, here's the thing, Sam. I don't believe you're married, are you?
I'm not married, no.
Okay, let's pretend you are. This is an important life lesson for you here.
Go for it.
So you come home and you say, hey, that TMV guy, Steven? Yeah, I heard you talk about, he's got like a yellow Hawaiian shirt. Yeah, him. He gave me $200. I gave him 3 leads. 1 of them panned out. Your wife is going to go, that is freaking amazing. And she's going to go spend it. The next month, I call you and I say, hey, Sam, we need to go to breakfast or lunch. You know what that means. Oh, shit, I gave him 3 more leads. Yeah, 2 of those panned out. That's $400. Honey, remember Steven? Yeah, he gave us $200 last month, the TMV guy. Yeah. We have $400. She's going to go, that is amazing. The next month, on the 1st, because this is when I always started on, right? I started on the 1st, right? To start everybody out of the month. She's going to come up to you and go, hey, have you talked to the TMV guy? Yeah, no, I got busy this month. I didn't give him any leads. Do you really want to have that conversation with your wife? Because she was expecting a minimum but she's already spent the money. So you turn people into your raving fans because now the wife is talking, why don't we have him over for barbecue? I don't know, honey. We should, he's giving us his money. I got $400 this month. I got $800 this month. It's like, you don't want to have that conversation, right? So, but here's the thing. You don't tell somebody that you pay for their leads. You surprise them. It's a 180-degree turnaround. If you tell somebody they pay for your lead, you're like everybody else. If you surprise them, it's a surprise. And you're always like, surprises are like, wow, this is really cool. I didn't expect that. Well, this is, and you can consider it my marketing expense. And I really appreciate you. And you can, and I know you have a family because I talked and I know this and I know that. And you can throw all this stuff in that's true, right? And that you should cue it because you care, right? So that's how you go from that's how you do the fabulous 5, the 10, terrific 10, the 20 is plenty. And you're always, because some people change their profession, some people move. So you're always doing this. But at the end of the year, you should have a referral program that how many clients do you really need? It's the referrals. It's the people that are talking about you, that are giving you. That's what you need. You don't need clients. You need the people that are bringing the clients. It's a free sales team, by the way. If you do the math, let's just say that you're giving away 10 or 20% of your net. If you do the math, it always works out.
Oh, for sure. It's not even close. Fabulous. Well, we got a private session on this podcast. So for those that are still with us, that's absolutely fantastic. Steven, I love all these insights. I'd love if you can tell us more about the aspirations and sort of the future with the TMV Club. Obviously, you have different programs and different, like you said, you don't choose the avatar choose you. So we'll see what sort of in the mix for you future-wise. But tell me more where sort of in 10 years from now, obviously, I'm sure you will be working still like a workaholic. It's in your gene.
I'll be doing something.
So tell me about where you see the vision with this, and perhaps what your aspirations.
So that is a different mind shift. I came up with this about a year or so ago, and I deal with a lot of real estate people also, and in 10 years we're going to see this huge, unbelievable bottleneck for housing for seniors and residential assisted living. I got a friend that he's big into that. I don't like that because they're basically putting somebody in a place ready to die. In 4 to 5 years is their normal life expectancy. I like to be more proactive. And so I got this idea and I found some models on it. They're not doing exactly what I'm doing, what I'm planning on doing, but I want to build a community, brick and mortar, as well as online, but brick and mortar more importantly, because they need a place to stay, that has, let's just say you've got 100 acres and it's got a pool, a workout place and things. But the main thing is when you turn, let's say you retire at 65, okay? So all the stats show that if you retire at 65, you die in 6 years because the human brain is not designed to sit around and do nothing, right?
Right.
There's an excellent podcast, the 4 stages of retirement. I can't remember the doctor's name. It's a TED Talk. Look it up. It'll talk to you about it. But anyway, we've got these people that have this incredible, they've learned. We go back to learning. They've cultivated their mind. They've worked in the business. They've succeeded. They're financially secure. And now they're retired. And yeah, for the first maybe year and a half, they're on vacation. But after that, they're itching to go. Like they've been working all their lives. That's ingrained, right? And so I want to build a community that Elon Musk and the government come to and say, we're thinking about this project. Who do you have? I don't know. Let me send out an email. And we have these communities all over the United States, right? 4 or 5 in every state at least, right? And they're all tight communities. Like, let's just say there's 300 to 500 people. You say, how can that be tight knit? Well, because your birds of a feather are going to flock together, right? And so you'll have this in this community, you have 2 or 3 tight knit communities, right? And they kind of intermingle. But anyway, building a community like that, I call it the busy beavers, right? So, and the funny thing is in my world, busy is a bad word because everybody's busy, but are you productive? Right?
Exactly.
But it's a good catch thing. So the busy, and I've got a podcast that I'm just starting called the Busy Beaver podcast. And so it'll be the Busy Beaver, and it's a Busy Beaver Club is what it is. So I will have a Busy Beavers community where we have all these people come in smarter than me that know way more than you. Maybe Tony Robbins comes in. I don't know why he doesn't need to be in a community, but maybe he does because it's him. I don't know. But we have all of these people come in, and so they'll feed off of each other, and they'll be able to grow, and they'll be this huge mind learning business set model where people can come in and they can maybe they had a career that they liked but they didn't love. So Steve Jobs said it best. What are you going to do to dent the universe? So this is the stage where people they've made all the money, they know how to do it, they know, they're Elon Musk, but maybe not on steroids, but they got the same concept. And they're like, this is what I want to do to dent the universe, to help humans become better. Kumbaya. I might be sounding a little bit like that, but I truly believe that this is the ultimate goal for every human, is to give back in a way that makes humans better. Right. And so it does kind of funnel off, of everything that I do, but the focus will be on that, with this now being the base. I don't know.
Beautiful.
Okay.
No, absolutely. Well, that's fantastic. And I truly believe that the only limit of our realization of tomorrow is our doubt of today. Mr. Steven Beaver, was an absolute pleasure to have you on and to dive into all sorts of interesting things, but that just makes sense together. Just the way you are, just the way we are, perhaps. And I would absolutely love if you can share some last words of wisdom with our audience, please.
Couple of things that my kids can quote. It's good to want, because your kids always say, I want this, I want that. And all I ever said was, it's good to want. That's what drives you forward in life. And I can literally say it's good to want. And they go, I know, it's what forward in life. And average isn't optimal. That would be another thing. That's one of my newer ones. Average isn't optimum. So you're getting by. Oh, that's terrible. You're getting by? Wow. So, and then the last one, I've already said it in your thing, and this is how I end every one of my podcasts. I always tell everybody, good luck laboring under correct knowledge. I'm Steven Beaver, your TMV visionary strategist. TMV, baby, take more vacations. That is how we spell your success. You have a happy and successful day. Bye for now. Sam, it's all you.
Thank you for spending your time with us today on the Meaningful Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review or share it with someone who could benefit from it. And always remember, your story matters. Make it meaningful. We hope to see you next time.